October 2024 might go down as the month Hollywood would rather forget. The total box office pulled in $385 million, which sounds respectable until you realize it's the worst October performance in nearly 30 years. The last time a month this late in the year performed this badly was back in 1997. And what makes this particularly brutal is that we're not looking at a slow month with a couple of underperformers scattered around. 9 consecutive major studio releases bombed one after another, each one a high-budget production with big names and massive marketing campaigns behind it, and none of it made any difference. Let's break down exactly what went wrong and why this particular disaster might force the entire industry to finally change how it operates. Disney's Tron takes the crown as the month's biggest disaster, and the numbers tell a story that studio executives probably wish they could bury. The production cost landed somewhere between $180 and $220 million, and when you add the $102 million they dropped on marketing, you're staring at a film that needed to clear at least $400 million worldwide just to break even. The worldwide gross came in at $135.2 million, which translates to an estimated loss of around $132 million. But what makes this failure even more painful is the second weekend collapse. A 70% drop means word of mouth was completely dead because people saw it opening weekend, told their friends to skip it, and that was the end of the line. Disney had clearly been banking on nostalgia for the original Tron to carry this thing across the finish line, but audiences just weren't interested no matter how hard the studio pushed. The marketing blitz was everywhere you looked: billboards, TV spots, social media takeovers, and it still didn't move the needle even slightly. This is shaping up to be one of Disney's biggest financial disasters in recent memory. After the Hunt, starring Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield, represents a different kind of catastrophe, the type where even A-list star power can't save a sinking ship. Somewhere between $70 and $80 million went into the budget, and the box office return was roughly $7 million. When you've got 2 genuine A-list stars attached to a project, and you can't even crack double digits domestically, something has gone catastrophically wrong at every level. The subject matter was niche, the reviews came back poor, and audiences stayed away in droves no matter what the marketing team tried. The studio reportedly thought the star power alone would get people curious enough to buy tickets, but this isn't 2005 anymore, and big names don't guarantee anything. Roofman tells a genuinely tragic story because this one actually earned the critical acclaim that usually translates to at least modest success. Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst delivered performances that critics loved, racking up an 86% rating on Rotten Tomatoes with praise for the direction and real artistic merit throughout. The budget was $199 million, and it made $27 million worldwide, which means you're looking at a quality film that just couldn't find an audience willing to show up. The marketing positioned it as a prestige drama, which apparently translates to "I'll wait for streaming" for most people these days. And even when you make something genuinely good, there's no guarantee anyone will buy a ticket to see it in theaters. That's the reality studios are dealing with now, where quality and commercial success have completely separated from each other. Yorgos Lanthimos and Emma Stone reunited for Bionia, and the studio spent $100 million acquiring rights and producing what amounts to an art house film, which is where the miscalculation begins. Box office came in at $15.8 million, and the problem becomes obvious when you understand that art house films don't typically get $100 million budgets because they don't typically make that money back in theatrical release. The plan was supposedly a wider release that would appeal to mainstream audiences while maintaining artistic credibility, but instead, it fell into the gap between both markets and satisfied neither. Too weird for general audiences, too expensive for the art house crowd to justify the financial risk. The wide release strategy backfired completely and left everyone wondering what the studio was thinking. Bruce Springsteen's "Deliver Me from Nowhere" had good intentions behind it and terrible timing that doomed it from the start. $55 million went into the budget, and the target audience was older demographics who grew up with Springsteen's music and might want to see his creative process explored on screen. The release happened during NFL season in the World Series, which means the exact demographic they needed was watching sports instead of going to movies about Springsteen's darker creative period. Even hardcore Springsteen fans weren't necessarily excited about a film focused on his least commercially successful era, and this needed careful positioning plus a different release window to have any chance. It got neither. Jennifer Lopez's Kiss of the Spider-Woman was dead on arrival, and the numbers reflect a complete absence of audience interest or studio support. The budget came in at $30 million, box office at $1.6 million, and when you see a gap that wide, you know something went wrong at every stage of production and release. Reviews were weak, there was almost no marketing push to speak of, and the award strategy they'd apparently been hoping for never materialized into anything real. For Lopez, this continues a rough stretch that's seen multiple projects underperform or fail outright, and the musical drama format is already tough to sell when you don't have the critical acclaim or studio support to compensate for audience indifference. Aziz Ansari and Keanu Reeves teamed up for Good Fortune, a comedy that couldn't overcome its own messaging and ended up alienating the audience it was supposed to entertain. Budget was $30 million. Box office came in at $21.8 million, which means it got closer to breaking even than most of these other films, but still lost money when you factor in marketing costs. Industry analysts pointed to the heavy social messaging as something that hurt the entertainment value for general audiences, because people wanted a comedy and got a lecture instead. The marketing was reportedly exhausted too. Too many trailers, too many interviews, and still no real buzz building around the release. Ansari's attempted comeback just didn't land the way he'd hoped. The Rock's dramatic turn in The Smashing Machine was supposed to prove he could do serious work and reinvent himself beyond action films, but audiences rejected the transformation completely. $50 million went into the budget, $19 million came back worldwide, and the opening weekend was a shockingly low $5.9 million domestically for someone of his profile and fan base. By the third weekend, it had dropped 82%, which tells you everything about how word of mouth went and how quickly people lost interest. This was supposed to prove he could handle serious drama and wasn't just an action star coasting on charisma, but audiences who want The Rock, not The Rock, playing a washed-up fighter in a gritty character study. The career reinvention attempt collapsed before it really began. Daniel Day-Lewis came out of retirement for Anemone, and the result was a quiet commercial failure that barely registered with audiences or critics. The budget was tiny by comparison at $14 million, and the release was extremely limited with almost no marketing behind it to build awareness or interest. Reviews came back mediocre, box office was basically non-existent, and what you're left with is clearly an artistic project that Day-Lewis wanted to do for personal reasons rather than commercial ones. Even with his legendary reputation and the curiosity around his return, you can't just show up after years away with a small film and expect people to find it without some kind of campaign to tell them it exists. It needed a platform, a strategy, something to build awareness, and it got none of that. When you step back and look at all 9 failures together, a few trends become impossible to ignore. Franchise fatigue is real, and audiences are actively rejecting sequels and reboots that feel forced or unnecessary, with Tron serving as the perfect example of how nostalgic branding isn't enough anymore to guarantee success. Budgets have inflated beyond any reasonable safety net, and studios are spending $100, $150, $200 million on films without any guarantee of return. Which means when every film needs to be a massive hit just to break even, you're setting yourself up for disasters exactly like these. Older audiences aren't coming back to theaters the way studios hoped they would, because the Springsteen biopic and the Julia Roberts drama were aimed at demographics that have apparently decided streaming is good enough for their needs. Massive marketing campaigns no longer guarantee success, no matter how much money you throw at promotion, because Disney spent over $100 million promoting Tron, and it didn't matter at all. Risky or artistic films are struggling theatrically even when they're good, because Roofman was genuinely good, and Bionia was interesting, and neither one could attract enough people to justify their costs. October 2024 exposed some fundamental problems in how Hollywood operates, from broken budgeting strategies to declining theater attendance to the collapse of star power as a reliable selling point. This isn't just a bad month that the industry will bounce back from next quarter. This might be the reset moment that forces studios to finally change how they do business and what kinds of projects they greenlight. Which of these films do you think had the best chance of succeeding with a different strategy? Could any of them have been saved with better marketing, different timing, or a lower budget? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of what's actually happening in Hollywood beyond the press releases and spin, subscribe because we're just getting started.